swallowed star 468 stepping into domain lord level. Tru Yen Emperor, Tong Nan Emperor and Jade Emperor couldn't help but laugh as they saw the group of youths arrive. At that same time, they left the virtual universe and disappeared. Mr. Bevan. Wuka shouted, Luo Feng passed the third level? A group of human youths of different races looked at Watchman Bevan. Watchman Bevan smiled, yes, just now. The fourth level? Savage Rong Jun asked. Immediately the group around him held their breaths. Luo Feng passing the third level was already high enough. If he passed the fourth level too, the group would probably crumble. No matter how big the difference, it shouldn't be that huge. He was not successful. Watchman Bevan said. That's good. The group let out sighs of relief. At least he was still within range of chasing, however, after which many of them began feeling helpless. They were all absolute geniuses within the universe, and right now they were forced by someone to feel like they couldn't keep up. Before coming to Primal Chaos City, he and I didn't have too much of a difference in strength. But now, I can't even pass the second level and yet, he's past the third already. Jiang Mo gripped his fists tight. Shrouded in chaos energy, the ancient city that had been around for trillions of years, Primal Chaos City. I'm really not used to long hair. Luo Feng waved his hand, a sharp energy wrapped around it and he swiftly cut his hair to its original short state, following which he jumped down from the balcony onto the alley. Luo Feng, you've successfully passed both the second and third level. You've been rewarded 6,000 points and another 2 chances to study the tablet. What are your plans? Within his mind Babata's voice resounded. I've passed the third level. Since that is the case, I have the right to go listen to the strong warriors give classes. Luo Feng smiled. As for the 6,000 points, I cannot waste them. It's only because I am a newcomer that I get 10 times the amount. When I leave Primal Chaos City, I am afraid that acquiring points would be extremely difficult. Points, I can only acquire them according to the Virtual Universe Company's methods, hence I have to save them. As for the 2 times of study, it's been about 10 years since I've studied the 9 Universe tablet. Since I have many questions by now, I'll go use one of those chances today. Luo Feng walked in the alley, very quickly reaching a main path. As for the second chance, there's no rush at all. I'll use it in the future. His movement was like lightning, very quickly reaching the entrance of the city leader's residence. This territory was huge. Luo Feng followed the familiar paths quickly to the huge secret room alley. Following that route, he could see the huge bronze doors along the side, and he very quickly reached the one with the words 9 Universe. Lord Candeli. Luo Feng bowed at the 3-eyed guard before the door. Candeli smiled and nodded, after which he closed his eyes for a second and opened them. Not bad, you've improved quite a bit. You have 2 chances to study now. I'm prepared to use one now. Luo Feng emphasized. Your luck is good, there's no one inside right now. Candeli smiled and pointed at the huge bronze door behind him. With a rumble, the door gradually opened and the thick chaos energy revolved within. The inside seemed like a complete blur. Luo Feng, however, was happy. Thank you, Lord. So, he rushed into the secret training room. Within the room, the chaos energy revolved around a huge primal chaos tablet. Every chance to study this is extremely valuable. Even though there are many people in Primal Chaos City, occasionally requiring us to queue and wait to enter, however at times there's only me. Luo Feng immediately rushed to stand before the tablet. His gaze landing on the first picture of the tablet, the raindrop picture. That picture had 9 drops, and hiding within it was unbelievable amounts of power and mystery, immediately captivating Luo Feng's attention and consciousness within. At this time, Luo Feng's 3 bodies were all immersed in the raindrop picture. Every drop represented different simulations within their minds. However, there was only one drop that held no more mystery to Luo Feng. He had completely seen through and comprehended that one drop's foundation. Raindrop picture, there were a total of 9 drops and mysteries. When normal warriors studied the raindrop picture, as long as they understood each mystery, they could use it and that would be considered as passing. Luo Feng, however, was not satisfied with just that. He wanted to completely study its foundation and comprehend it fully. For example, in a test paper, there were normal questions and extra questions. Finishing all the normal ones would get 100 points. If one finishes all that and the extra ones too, they would get 150 points. Normal warriors' comprehension of the raindrop picture would usually only reach the 100 points level. And right now Luo Feng had about 90 points worth towards the other 8 drops. As for the 1 drop, he had reached the 150 points level. The 9 drops, if one understood all of them, normally they could pass the 3rd level. Luo Feng, however, had 8 of them close to a passing level, and 1 of them fully perfected. What I must do now is not to rush into studying the drizzling rain picture but to completely reach the perfection level for the raindrop picture. Luo Feng was very clear on what he needed to do. While immersed within the 9 universe tablet, Luo Feng's large amount of comprehension of the it began to surface. The moment he reached a new height of comprehension, he couldn't help but smile. "Come out." A voice entered his mind. "Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out." The voice got louder constantly, resounding continuously within his mind, forcing Luo Feng to awake from that mystical dream world within and grit his teeth and fly out. What a pity, it's time again. Outside the room, there were already 3 people waiting. What a pity. If only I could stay in there longer. Luo Feng walked along the alley outside the residence. He felt a sense of longing to return in. Studying the tablet was simply too wonderful a feeling. It wasn't the same as the usual mentally tiring study. There wasn't any sense of fatigue at all while staring at the tablet. Even to the point where one didn't have to actively study it. But as long as one got captivated by it, that alone led to much of the comprehension. Right now, as far as the other 8 wonders of the raindrop picture are concerned, I should have passed. Luo Feng thought. If they were considered to be at a level of 90 points before, right now they should all be 100. However, my aim is to get all of them to be at a level of 150 points. Luo Feng smiled. The further he went, the harder it became. The extra questions were always much harder than the normal ones. The reasoning for this was that comprehending the entire foundation compared to simply using it, the difficulty was much higher. Breathe, Luo Feng looked up at the sky. He hadn't been this relaxed in a long time. Looking at the distant sky, its many crystal threads were weaving in between the spaces, and the complex large amounts of engravings revolved. The universe was such a vast thing. Its laws were in plain sight for others to see right now. However, even with it revealed, understanding it still required a very long time. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Finally broken through? Luo Feng became a blur and rushed to his own training quarters not far from the city leader's residence, within the resting room. Luo Feng's internal world. Within the vast golden continent, The Black Mountain-like golden-horned beast and the Mosha clan black-clothed Luo Feng were all looking at the sky with glee. It's finally breaking through. Finally breaking through to the Domain Lord level? From the Universe level 9 to the Domain Lord level, normal evolution would require about 500 years. At times plus or minus 100 years, there was no definite number. And Luo Feng, using the optimum metal groupings, had raised the evolution and internal world expansion to an efficiency of 56 times. In theory, Luo Feng's 7th or 8th year in the Primal Chaos City should have been the year of the beast's breakthrough. However, it was late a total of 3 years. One of the reasons was because the evolution took more time. However, the second reason was that it was Luo Feng's fault altogether. As Luo Feng was immersed in his study the past 10 years, the 3 bodies all were training rigorously. Every time he awoke was usually once between 3 to 4 months. The internal world's swallowing of metals was like one's meals. It required frequent doses. Just like a normal person starving for 3 days, after 3 days he'd still be unable to take all 3 days' worth of food in one go. One theory? The internal world's one large intake of metals could usually last for 1 to 2 months. However, as Luo Feng's study normally took 3 to 4 months, every time he woke up, he could only let it at most consume another 1 to 2 months' worth of metals. This slowed down the evolution speed. Luo Feng's studying was extremely important. Since Babata didn't dare disturb him in critical times, this naturally happened. And whether it was Luo Feng or Babata, they were both very clear. These 30 years in the Primal Chaos City were very important. He had to use his full strength to study. As for the delay of 2 to 3 years for the golden-horned beast to evolve, that was still a negligible matter. Studying the laws was the more important factor. Rumble, countless golden fogs and energies covered the vast continent. The continent expanded continuously, large amounts of the continent appeared. It took a while for all the tectonic plates to completely form. Everything went silent. The internal world's evolution was a success. From the 9,000 kilometers length and width from before, it had suddenly expanded to 100,000 kilometers. Luo Feng's core within. Within the core, the Whirlpool Galaxy was beautiful. At its core was a big black hole with 8 arms and 8 little black holes. After the successful evolution of the internal world, immediately the Whirlpool Galaxy began to change at a shocking rate. Rumble. The center black hole along with the 8 other black holes' strength in swallowing began to rise greatly. The surrounding planets and stars began to all get swallowed up, especially since the center black hole grew bigger and bigger, slowly. Even the other little ones were getting drawn to the center. Swallow. The center black hole began to swallow all that it could, getting even bigger and gradually joining with the other 8. At this time, the Whirlpool Galaxy had completely vanished, leaving behind one huge black hole. Rumble. The extra-large black hole suddenly violently crumbled. The entire black area began to shrink within the core. Its shrinking was visible even to the naked eye. This black hole collapse was heart-trembling. In the blink of an eye, the entire black hole had vanished, and in that spot where the center black hole was, a gray round ball had appeared. Chi. The gray round ball was like a shedding snake. One layer of the gray outer shell shed off, and this outer layer began to expand and inflate. Bigger and bigger. The outer shell continued to grow until it was as large as the entire core, and later it grew until the ball's shell even began to fuse with the core itself completely without a sound. This caused Luo Feng's core, internal core to go through a special change. As the core began to change, the two bodies within the internal world too changed. The golden horned beast and the Mosha clan simultaneously evolved.